Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditation practice that enters a space of creativity, play, through the act of drawing, making few playful marks. And that's what we'll explore in the exercise today. A few marks that set up a territory, a game to be explored on a page, to imagine the unknown into. I'm going to use pencil for pretty much everything, but anything should work. Pen, pencil, maybe have a few handy if you want to play with it, switch it up, explore, and see what you find. So go ahead and gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. I guess maybe we don't even need a warm-up. We'll just draw lines. If you have your page, you'll have your page, because I don't know where it's going to go. But we'll dive right into the kind of anchoring of the breath and a strong attention or connection and awareness to the mark we make. So take a moment or two just to let the hand that you want to draw with, or both hands, move around the page a little bit, know where you are, what movements might feel comfortable, a little side to side, up and down, just sensing it out so you know you're in a good position to access it, or at least what position you can access it with. And then we'll, for our first series of 10 strokes or so, take a nice grounding breath, and then just release it in a direction, roughly straight, but doesn't really matter if it has a bit of arc to it or personality from your relationship to the paper. Take a couple more just refreshing, grounding breaths to release any tension, to hear yourself entering into this space through that wave of the breath. Then bring your tool into your hand, hold it in a way that feels comfortable for making some marks. Find a place to begin on the page. Anywhere is just fine. As you breathe in, think about a direction. And on your exhale, just move out through that space. First mark always the toughest, giving some definition to the paper. You can take it in for a moment, but each mark subsequent will kind of cross each other or mark a new path. So a little bit of directionality developing throughout the whole paper, so you can find a new place to begin, a new direction. Inhale to that start, and then mark it with the exhale. And we'll have, again, a variety of angles, directions, orientations. You could even play this with eyes lightly closed, just a little bit of tracking for finding the paper, perhaps. But breathing in a location, bringing to mind with that breath a direction, and then exhaling it out. And go through several of these a while, just together with a little pause in between each one, either to take in the space or ground into that next action of inhalation. And exhaling a mark across the paper. Again, if you feel comfortable, it could be kind of fun to do it with the eyes closed or just subtly open, so you can make sure you stay in your bounds if that is important to you. But otherwise, we find a place, we breathe in, and we exhale. A clean, stroke out across the paper, not searching for any specific marker, just a reflection of that inhalation and exhalation through space. Any direction, consistency, or variability, all within that cycle of the inhalation and the exhaling mark. And if you let the eyes be a little disconnected, relaxed, or closed, notice on that inhalation the way you move through space to a place. Notice the whole action on the exhalation. The movement of the arm. It may be quick, it may be slow. You guide here, but in either speed we can notice the fluidity or the glitchiness, whichever comes, depending on directions, all coming together in that flow of inhaling and exhaling. And take a little time to do a few of these at your own pace, listening in to all the parts, the breath in, breath out, the impact of the pen or pencil onto the page during the finding inhalation, the abrasion across the paper during the exhalation. And any other sound that comes with it, the clothes rustling, perhaps a brushing across the table, whatever it may be, as you build up a little bit of a nest, a little density there on the paper. With our last few marks in this manner, I let the eyes open, take in the page, notice a relationship or interaction between that act of finding place in the field, the choosing of direction and the exhaling through it. It might become a lot more complex, the eye trying to match, map, and understand what it sees there. Building up its knowing of the map as we transition to another way of working within it. A set of arbitrary lines, arbitrary directions, each chosen and inhabited with that integrating cycle, now a part of a new whole. You can take a simple reading of giving a little specificity and shape to each little cell in here, kind of like a jumbled up chessboard or checkerboard. I think what I'll read them as is a little bit of an offset, a little bit of a softening, a cell that forms within the defined boundary, a little bit of roundness to it, approaching its edges, but not quite fully meeting them, as a way to bring some attention to the guidance of the pen or pencil, guidance of the hand, practicing a little of our control of the instrument. Each new cell, a new orientation, a new angle, a new chance to explore that little boundary moment. Some small, a little slower, carefuler movement through the space. Some large, requiring shifts in orientation, choices at the corners. Some very, very tiny, maybe just a little dot forming there. Let's begin to read through the map and fill some of these in, each one a chance to inhabit that moment of marking, that journey around the space, walking the perimeter with the pencil, and noticing areas of play or adjustment and how the hand traverses the path, how the eye follows the suggested boundary, encouraging yourself to play with the difference, speeding up or slowing down as it seems fit to your position. To your action, and to the breath that helps you hold each moment. We have plenty of cells to work with, plenty of places to explore. There's no rush to get through any specific order or number of things. But as you explore, you might start to notice some similarities, perhaps lots of little triangular intersections, or larger, more complex, multi-sided intersections, or little square, rectangle things. The variations that tend to happen there in the intersections of these multi-directional lines. And perhaps we can use that as a place of interest in reading. Now, for myself, I'm kind of just clustering around, taking each one as what comes adjacent or next to what was before. If we expand our eyes a little bit, look a little more as the whole, perhaps we can find some paths, trajectories, or sorting, all up to you. Finding one way of reading the territory for a little while challenges the initial entry to the map. Looks at it in another way, or at least a mindful and considered way. And then tracking through each moment, defining the cell, letting the shapes accumulate and slowly define the space within and the space between. In each of our cases, each person working through their own territory have unique conditions, features, we might say, of our territory that we can map through. Perhaps you have several instances of parallelness or high chaos, a high variety of variation. You're starting to see them, to notice them, maybe bring something you find forward from the visual field. And you have many cells here to work with, but it's possible, depending on speed, you might begin to fill things up. Again, the goal is not to necessarily need to fill everything up, but to explore, see what you find. If in that process the world starts to become a new mat, a new collection of these cells within cells, we can read again in another way. Now we are marking out the shape of a condition, that closed cell living within the intersections. Then we can start to look at the space between, start to change our interface with the tool. If you like, bringing a little tone or shading to the whole, perhaps filling in some of the space around or within, between the cells. Bring a little texture, highlight, letting the hand move in another way to notice its flexibility. To practice its multiple modes of marking out territory on the paper. And as we spend a little time establishing each mode, these breath-guided, deliberate strokes across the page, dividing, connecting, these more contained, controlled boundaries of shape, form, or a lighter, softer filling in of space. We practice each one a little bit on its own, to know it, to think with it and be present in that action. And then as they begin to work together, perhaps we see ideas, something our brain imagines or our eyes recognize. We begin to use the modes when they arise to our imagination. So as you draw for a few minutes, playing here with these interfaces of the tool and the paper, the lines, the shapes, the shade, the texture, feel free to play with them, follow one for a while, then shift gears and see where it takes you to explore. As you explore, you may find you begin to get caught up here and there in the territory in front of you, pulled in to what you found, an idea, pulled into an experiment. And take notice in that, in what draws you in, the mind knowing the way of engaging, few marks with a pencil or a pen, few movements of the hand, the eye tracking, following a set of simple engagements. And perhaps we can step our presence back, look out, or look in from without. Notice sensations of this act of creating something that wasn't there. An empty page forming into a little story, visual or narrative, or a little of both. Perhaps you notice changes in physical sensation. You notice my eyes not blinking as much. You notice my breath quieting and shallowing to the background as the focus is outward. And our body can take that position, can intensify its presence into one place, one moment, one time in exploration. And we can bring our mind to it to occasionally replenish with a nice full breath cycle. Know that we can step back just a little bit and let the autonomous nature of the movement of the technique still work its way through the place, through the idea, and ground ourselves so we don't dry out our eyes too much or lose too much oxygen to the focus. And then practicing that little pulling back, recentering, and flowing back in to whatever state you find there. The repetitions are the exercise. The practice opening up the ease of action. The awareness of where you are and what you are doing alongside the flow and flexibility of play, creativity. With a couple of minutes left in the time of the exercise, of course, feel free if you have the time to keep following whatever path feels good to you here. I begin to transition outward a little bit to reincorporate a few more things from the world around us into our presence. To hear the current cycle of the breath pass over the nostrils or through the lips. To feel the rise and fall, the torso, with those breaths. The interaction of the clothing over the skin and that motion. The movement, the little hairs and the small membrane of the ears as we hear the sound of air moving. Maybe even a little taste or scent in the air. The senses re-noticing the world around us. They've been doing their role the whole time, always present, always noticing for us. And we notice with them to connect a little more consciously with our environment. And as you feel ready, finding the place to take a break for a while, ending a current shape or line or area. Letting the hand slow down so you can feel its change of pace. Feeling the phantom of the pen or pencil on the fingers, perhaps, or the release of that grip that was present for a while. The hands relax together. Connect back across the median of the body. The two sides independent, but the same. And take a nice deep breath or two. Letting the torso extend up and out to settle back into a more open posture of your space. To release the extension or the hunch over that focus time there, and be connected back outwards as you move to the rest of your day.